in a snowstorm. In a, what are those things called? Snow globe?
Snow globe, yeah.
It looked like a snow globe.
It did, actually.
The Cleveland Browns, led by Jameis Winston, who kicked off our show with one of his most inspirational speeches yet. It's not about the lights. It's not about the camera. It's not about the action. But actually, it is about the action. So I think maybe he had a little slip up there, but the boys had a great time in the snow. And I'll tell you what, Myles Garrett just lit it up. Myles Garrett decided he was going to take over the game. And obviously, there had been a lot of hype about Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, who won Defensive Player of the Year last year. How happy was the other person that the other person won Defensive Player of the Year last year? And I had a chance to watch this guy take over a game last year in the Loud House. Once it starts, it seemingly doesn't stop. Once he senses a little blood in the water, that neckton mentality and shark of Myles Garrett is going to hunt out there. And that was fun to watch if you're a fan of old school football. If you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, though, I think you have to worry. Russ has a big night. Okay, I think he only had like 6 incompletions. He started the game perfect, 8-8 or 7-7. I think you had some splash plays from a lot of your offensive players. But in the end, you lose to a 3-8 Cleveland Brown team in a snowstorm, which you might have to do later in the year, especially if Buffalo is going to have a home playoff game or Kansas City is going to have a home playoff game. We all thought the Steelers would cover 3.5.
Yeah.
We both did. We thought it was a different year. Seems like it's maybe, is this the same old Steelers? Is that what the thought is after last night?
I mean, see, if you saw, look, Russell's stats, 21-28 for 270 yards and a touchdown. If we told you that before the game, you're thinking, oh, Steelers absolutely rolled. And this is an offense that we know AQ Shipley does not like very much either.
The offensive line, yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't love the offensive line, but this Steelers team, I don't know. You always want to be explosive. You want to get plays over the top, which they do, though. Like, the Steelers have done that, but for whatever reason, the Browns in this crazy way, like, was this one of those, like, destiny things? Like, hey, the Browns got to win because now I guess their owners are potentially pissed that everyone loves the outdoor snow because they want to build a dome somewhere else. And thinking we definitely can't do that now because this was like a majestic night when they have the AI sidelines that act like they have plowed the hashes and the yard lines, which makes it kind of weird because guys' legs disappear at times.
So AJ's first thing he said to me when I asked him if he saw the entire game last night, he said, I did, and I don't know if I like the fake yard lines because guys are losing their legs. Now, you just saw the guys' legs disappear, but it was nice to be able to see the yardages. And one of these games is Steve Sable, you think of whenever you see like the Lambeau, the frozen tundra, the old school football is immediately what you think of with these games. I, as a former punter, am a massive proponent of doming everywhere, okay? Dome it all. Let's have 70 degrees, no wind, perfect conditions, best team wins. That is how I've always talked about. I've always believed that way, and if they were to do that, I would not mind. But if you're a Cleveland Browns fan, and I know the conversation has been very, very loud about getting a dome as opposed to having this, you view that as an advantage, even against the Pittsburgh Steelers. You shirtless Clevelanders all over the stadium, drunk as hell, having the time of their life, you view that as an advantage. So congrats to the Browns on getting a big win. And if you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, do you just bury the ball and say, hey, it was a wild, crazy, snowy Thursday night? Hey, Pete Tone, how are you guys viewing this entire thing?
It was, I mean, we talked about it yesterday. We almost knew this was going to happen as a Steelers fan based on their Thursday night football record, their divisional record, their record after playing the Ravens, especially on a short week. And then they came out and it was just a myriad of mistakes from start to finish. It was just, in good news, and we are going to bury the ball and bury the tape because it was literally the worst game they could have possibly played. They couldn't convert on 3rd and 4th down. They took sacks.
Jeez Louise.
Man.
2 4th down.
I mean, it started on the first drive, just like the sack to put it a 58-yard field goal for Boz, which he missed, obviously. And then drive 2, Fields comes out, and they have absolutely no idea what they're doing. You have offensive linemen running off the field. You have offensive linemen running on the field. They snap the ball with 1 second left on the clock, so the defense obviously knows when it's going to happen. They get blown up. The next drive, they get the sack strip from Myles Garrett. In the second half, they get blown up on 4th down again. It was just mistake after mistake after mistake. And then you get the touchdown.
Yin's got out tough. Yin's got out tough by the Cleveland Browns. I mean, that's how it is.
Well, we watched 2 different games on that thing. We did not get out tough. I can tell you that.
On fourth down?
Right?
What?
Fourth down. You guys were getting your shit.
Well, on the 1 4th down, the hole was wide open, and Justin just went the other way. On the other 4th down, yes, it did get blown up in the backfield. I agree there, but I was just, you can't play. They could not have played worse. And then
They could have.
They could have.
I mean, it looks all right. On paper, it looked all right.
No, they could not. They could not have played worse.
I saw some good. Russ was completing balls in the middle of the snow. I'm like, this guy's throwing lasers.
And then
I actually thought there was a chance defense was going to get a turnover late.
Yeah.
Maybe a pick six, maybe a stupid score.
They did.
We're going to cover this thing. But I thought late. I thought we were going to cover. I'm like watching. I'm like,
you should be happy, Tone.
Steelers are going to make this whole thing happen. It's like, I thought they played good. Inevitably, you still lose.
They get this.
And it's like,
they get this. They go 3 and out, and then Corliss Waitman, who's been unbelievable all year, has a 15-yard punt. So just all areas just terrible. And then
That side of the foot. I know they said that during it. That's just it can just go off the side of your foot.
yeah. So it happened earlier in the game too. So we don't have a football here, but whenever you're punting, both of the guys last night lefties. So whenever you're punting the ball, okay, obviously you catch the snap, you're holding it. There is a moment of free fall. See that?
Yep.
Once it leaves your hand, before it hits your foot. Windy game, during that free fall, that ball just blows just a little bit, just gets a little bit off tilt, goes center, boom, can't catch up to it, hits off the inside of your foot, that thing's going that way. That's possible every single punt, which is why whenever you see punters bomb balls, there's because there's a moment of free fall with the ball.
So do you drop it a little lower when it's windy?
Hold on to it longer is normally the goal.
Bring it to your foot.
Yeah, hold on to it longer. Yeah. So actually, if we want to get really deep into the punting game,
Yeah.
I tried to hold on to the ball as long as I possibly could towards the end of my career. Okay, now whenever you hold that, you got to drop it a little bit lower because you hold on to it a little longer. You got to go ball to foot almost as opposed to foot to ball. So you're going to give up like a 5-0 punt. You're going to give up like the big because you're not going to be able to. So I'm trying to kick that thing out of my hand. Got to lower it a little bit.
So that means more consistent?
Yeah, much more consistent. So your miss isn't a.
Yeah. You want to take that miss out of your game.
Yeah, you eliminate the miss completely is what I decided to do and a lot of OGs do, but you lose like the big one. And also punting in this weather, both guys had a situation. It was miserable. I had a terrible game in Cleveland as well, even whenever I was holding on to the ball, because that moment of free, even if you try to go foot the ball, there's still a moment where that ball is just falling through the sky. And if you just get a little, and it's all off. And it's not fun. I assume every specialist is excited to be out of that game last night, but it's one of those ones that's historic. Now, what does this mean for the rest of the season? For the Pittsburgh Steelers? What does this mean for the rest of the season for the Cleveland Browns? The Miz sent me a text this morning. The Miz sent me a text this morning. I believe we have his quote, hopefully, on a graphic card. Really good work on that, D-Bone. Easy to read there. Before game, your thought is, if we lose out, we could get Shador. After the game, we are not mathematically out of the playoffs. That was the text I got from the Miz this morning. And I assume that's how all Browns fans are feeling, especially after beating the Steelers. You beat the Steelers, that's a huge win at home in prime time in front of the whole world.
So I don't know all that needs to happen for the Browns to actually make the playoffs, but it does kind of feel like a monumental win. Like, where were you when the Browns beat the Steelers in that crazy snow game on Thursday night?
Yeah, going to get reference. I think Prime will probably showcase that game in all their commercials going forward because it just doesn't happen often. That was a full – it looked like your TV stunk. At one point, you couldn't see shit. That's in the modern era that we're in with how good technology is. Like, I don't know if you can see from these cameras, it's coming down really good right now.
Oh yeah,
it is coming down. We're having to cover this stuff. We might have it a full electrical failure over here with how hard it is raining. But with cameras, you can't really see it much anymore.
Yeah,
snow was just so thick, you had to see it. They had to deal with it. Couldn't see the field goal going through. This is a historic game in the football's history. Even like you remember Shady McCoy. Remember?
Oh yeah.
When he went bananas.
Yes. Yeah, you do remember.
You remember these games. These are the type of games that you remember. And if you're the Cleveland Browns, you're happy that you're on the right side of it, even though the Steelers certainly could have won it.
Yeah. Did you ever play like in any of these games? This made me think of 2007, I believe, playoff game against the Seattle Seahawks. We had, it might have been a different year when I was in Green Bay, and we had a crazy game where the last 3 quarters, it looked like this. In the whole place, it was one of those times where it snows and it actually feels warm. There's no wind, it's snowing, and you look around, and you're like, this is like a magical experience. And that's what I felt watching this game last night. And the fact that the Browns had so many fans there, too, that stuck it out was pretty impressive.
A lot of people dressed like seats early in that game. It seemed like up in the top row, 2-8 team, Thursday Night Football, but they didn't fill it up.
Yep.
And the weather got worse, and they stayed. And I think it's because of how good the game was. And shout out to Jameis Winston, his first ever game in that cold of temperature, and all the speeches he gave last night. Obviously, we just showcased his lights, camera, action speech, but the horses are ready for war, Connor. But
the Lord will lead. But we are the Lord, or the Lord will take us.
I
don't know. everything he says is electric. Like that game, just talking about, that was my favorite game of the year. Something about football in the snow, for one, and then also being in Indiana, having a nice little flurry on the ground as well. You look outside, there's snow. You look on the TV, there's snow, and you can barely see it. And just the physicality of it. You know, some of those games we talk about, you want points, you want all that stuff, but having Myles Garrett, having TJ Watt, having Cam Hayward kind of going to war in the middle of the field is so fun. And to your point about the snow games, for New England Patriots fans, obviously 6 Super Bowls over the Belichick-Brady era, the Vinatieri game winner against Oakland in the playoffs, I would argue is ranked even above like the last Rams Super Bowl where it was 13-3, kind of like a punt war between Ryan Allen and Hecker. That snow game kind of feel to it, it's just different. And for Jameis Winston, like him even post-game after just talking about the entire thing at his press conference, the way his brain works is so awesome because he was on the nightcap and they actually like went through all of his pregame speeches and he was laughing watching them himself. Like even he realizes like what the hell was I talking about right there? Like the lights, camera, action shit. It is so funny. Jameis needs to be, playing football forever, of course. But can you imagine what that guy will bring to like a booth if he were to decide to call a game? I mean, the electricity is endless when it comes to Jameis Winston. And yeah, of course, doing snow angels with all the guys, it's so fun and zany. And then Tony Gonzalez, unfortunately, though, he did not jump in with the entire crew, but there's just something about snow football. Well, yeah. It's different. It's better.
Tony's wearing, full metal or full winter jacket, like in September in some places.
Yeah. True.
October.
Yeah, he's not doing snow angels.
Yeah,
right?
he is not in there. I like the fact that he did do a snow angel FaceTime. This guy's never been around it. He's never done it before. And then I think he looked over at Whit. Hey, Whit was like, "Oh, flip over there." It's Jameis is fun, man. He is. He's super positive. Obviously, he hasn't been like a perfect football player in the NFL since making it, but the way he views life, the way he talks about things, and what he was saying anytime a microphone was in front of his face last night in primetime, football needed that. We needed
just how he was looking when the pregame when he was just taking the whole everything in. Like it felt very like authentic. It felt like original. I don't think you could act like this if this isn't who you were.
You have said you don't become a Brown until you beat the Steelers. What will it take tonight?
Good question.
The horse is prepared for battle, but victory comes from the Lord.
Boom.
So I'm dependent on the Lord.
It'll take
Is that the message to the team?
Day by day, one play at a time. That's the message.
Weather conditions tonight. We're expecting winds up to 15 miles per hour in a wintry mix. How will that impact your ability to throw the ball?
Yeah, it is,
I'm
isn't
so
it?
happy and grateful that the Lord has blessed me to play in some snow, to be in true football weather in Cleveland, Ohio, at Huntington Bank Field today to give him the glory. It's a beautiful day.
Sure feels like you're playing in the AFC North.
It is.
That's
it's magical.
right,
Thank you.
Great interview by Kaylee. What a response there by Jameis. Just, hey, what's your mindset on everything? I think Tom Brady has talked multiple times about when they're in a situation, what his mindset is, how he has to view something. Like when they were down 28-3, I think the way he viewed it was an opportunity to do something that was special. When most people would say we're out, it's all in your mindset and your framing. For Jameis, he had heard everybody talking about, hey, this is the first time you're going to play in cold. You could tell that he had rehearsed that thought. Whenever she started asking that question, he's like, good question. Everybody wants to know. I am so lucky that I get to experience this, and I'm going to have this on my resume forever. What a beautiful football game, football weather. With that being said, if it was in a dome, I think it'd be a good game too.
You think?
Yeah. I think it would have been a good game too. We wouldn't have had the electricity of the snow. And Myles Garrett's interview afterwards, whenever it was the snow around him, and they're all celebrating, and he said, I got a lot of respect for the guy on the other side, TJ. I got a lot of respect for all the edge rushers. Yeah, here it is. Here's what Myles Garrett had to say afterwards about the game he just put on.
Snow makes it better. Tonight, and if so, what was said?
I mean, we spoke of the coin toss, but that's about it. Like I said, I got a lot of respect for him, a lot of respect for all the guys over there, and the edge rushers in the league. But I'm number one, and that's from edge defender one, edge one to defensive player of the year. I'm the guy. So that runs through me. There's no other person being defended as I am or schemed or planned against like I am. So this goes to show, you can throw that out the window. I'm going to find a way.
That's Neo, brother. I am the one. How'd you feel about that, AJ?
I mean, I guess he's got an argument there. You can't really argue with him when you talk about like elite edge rushers. But yeah, we know. Like Myles Garrett's awesome. TJ Watt is awesome. They both can be amazing, right?
Yeah, but Myles Garrett.
But there's this whole thing now, though, between them two.
As there should, which I appreciate and I respect. You know, a lot of people hang out, have a good time, and I think the Watt family came out and said, we got a lot of respect for Myles Garrett over here. Jade said that on Wednesday about the whole thing, but I like the fact that they're not like buddy-buddy. You know, I like that they are competing, and I like the fact that he appreciates that, hey, I'm the top guy, and Teach thinks the exact same thing. I like that.
I think it's awesome. Any kind of like rivalry in the NFL is great, but this is also something that'll be cool. They can duke it out for however many more years in the NFL, and then 15 years from now, they're going to be good buddies,
camps.
probably.
Yeah, running camps.
Teaching kids, hey, you want to wreck shop like we did? Here we go.
And just making all the money in the world.